It's Wednesday, June 1. In the headlines, JUTC to add 50 buses to its fleet. Government working to have more skilled labor in the job market. Regionally, crime chiefs commit to focus on cybercrime and illegal guns. And in sports, West Indies claim victory with a 7-wicket win over the Netherlands. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I am Simone Absalom Gale. Government will spend around $6.4 million on the acquisition of 50 buses to supplement the fleet of the Jamaica Urban Transit Company, JUTC. Signing of the contract took place on Tuesday at the Ministry of Transport office on Maxfield Avenue.
In my sectoral presentation in April, I outlined that the contract for these 50 new buses will add significant value to the JUTC's fleet, with 5 electric and 45 diesel buses. The 5 electric vehicles is a start as the government of Jamaica looks towards the future of transportation.
The vehicles are expected to be delivered between 6 and 9 months, commencing in the last quarter of the calendar year 2022, and will be placed in the Kingston Metropolitan Transport Region. Transport Minister Audley Shaw says it is expected that the newer diesel buses will have better fuel efficiency and lower carbon footprint per passenger trip than the aged buses of older technology. The 50 buses are in addition to another 20 12-meter compressed natural gas buses to be acquired under the expansion of the natural gas project in partnership with the New Fortress Energy Company Limited.
We are moving forward with discussions, and I'm optimistic that we will soon be able to add these additional buses to the fleet as well. So we're looking mostly in this year for the addition of 70, a total of 70 new buses. 5 will be electric, 20 will be compressed natural gas.
Minister Shaw gave the breakdown on cost and information on the charging stations.
For the 45 diesel buses is $5,400,000, and that's of course US dollars. And the 5 electric buses, that will cost $1,080,000. The electric buses will be equipped with 3 charging stations. In time, given the success of these buses, we will expand both buses and charging stations. The possibility also exists that other entities may utilize these charging stations as we build them out, and as we introduce, of course, electric vehicles, and that is very much on the agenda.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness says his administration is making significant strides in ensuring that the Jamaican labor force has adequate skilled workers. This is due to the work and investment in the transformation of the island's education system to produce competent Jamaicans. The Prime Minister says the reconstructing exercise currently in train at the Heart NSTA Trust is also aimed at bringing skilled labor into the market.
We recognize that Heart has to be a seamless entity that takes a person, even if they are illiterate, and bring them up to the level of literacy where they can gain knowledge. And then from knowledge to skills. And in parallel with knowledge and skills, we build attitude. And that's what we're trying to do now. Very shortly, we have completed the process of finding a managing director for Heart. And once we have that in place, then we're going to ramp up our activities to ensure that we can rapidly bring to market the skills aligned to the needs of the private sector.
Mr. Holness made the remarks as he opened ITEL BPO's latest complex at Chalmers Avenue in Kingston. This 90,000 square foot complex is a $7 million investment in the BPO sector. ITEL BPO has 6,000 employees across 3 offices on the island. Mr. Holness says that there are elements of the Jamaican culture that continues to hold the country and its people back, as it's the growth of the private sector to drive the growth of the country.
There is nothing wrong with doing well in business. There's nothing wrong in making a profit. We must not despise entrepreneurs. We must build them. We must appreciate them. We must encourage them. We want more entrepreneurs like yourself. Because Jamaica will only grow when our businesses grow. For a long time, the culture and thought of the average Jamaican is that Jamaica will only grow when the government does well or when the government grows.
He explains the government's role in the world of business.
The role of government in all of this is to make it easier for businesses to grow. That's the role of government. So we need a strong partnership between government and the private sector.
The company is celebrating 10 years of existence this year, and the chairman and CEO of ITEL, Yoni Epstein, shared that his company is making CARICOM a reality, explaining the company is once again looking to expand within the region.
We are very proud to be the largest BPO to ever be born out of Jamaica. And we're not only proud by being that, we're proud because, as it was said earlier by Gloria, we're making CARICOM come to life. You know, we're operating in 9 different countries today. 4 of those are of the 15 CARICOM nations. And we have our sights on a 5th that we will mention soon, and a couple others thereafter. And the belief as to why we have expanded ourselves outside of Jamaica is not only because of expanding our opportunities and our geodiversity. It is knowing that our clients want English. And why not go to the English-speaking Caribbean? Why not go into countries where you can partner with the governments and you can partner with the people of the nation to provide a better service, to provide jobs and opportunities for people of small nations.
Opposition spokesperson for Industry, Investment and Global Logistics, Anthony Hilton, says the government has not given any clear indication on how it plans to combat the challenge of the strained supply chains and increased prices of consumer goods and services. He made the comments while giving his contribution to the sectoral debate in Parliament on Tuesday.
Or even an indication that any specific solution or set of solutions to the elevated prices of consumer goods and services was being considered by the business ministry. Except, of course, the mentioned successful action by the Consumer Affairs Commission in bringing to book some errant businesses for violation of the consumer protection laws.
On the other hand, Member Hilton notes government's indication on the ripple effect of the supply chain disruption with the proposal from the Minister of Tourism, Edmund Bartlett, for the establishment of a logistics center.
To ensure the availability of supplies of goods and services for the critical tourism sector in the drive for economic recovery. The suggestion, Madam Speaker, clearly recognizes the nature of the challenges facing the recovery of the sector and the wider economy in the aftermath of the pandemic and seeks to do something about it.
Time now for the business report with Danita Rodney.
The Jamaica Dairy Development Board, JDDB, is aiming to increase the supply of local milk within the next 5 to 10 years. Currently, the local sector is fulfilling only around 15 to 20% of demand annually. Acting CEO of the JDDB, Devon Sayers, says the goal is to get production up to 30% and to grow the sector from there. He also says that focus is being placed on attracting new farmers and strengthening existing programs to stimulate the sector. Mr. Sayers is calling on large companies that are importing milk and milk products to consider starting dairy farms as part of measures to revitalize the sector. Now for your market updates. In foreign exchange trading for Tuesday, May 31, the US dollar sold for an average of $154.74. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $122.62. The pound sterling traded for $194.51, and the euro sold for an average of $167.69. The following reflects the movement of the JSE indices in Tuesday's trading session. The JSE index advanced by 2,129 points to close at over 300,000 units. The junior market index advanced by 56 points to close at over 4,000 units. The combined market index advanced by 2,497 points to close at over 400,000 units. And the All Jamaican Composite Index advanced by 2,316 points to close at over 400,000 units. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 106 stocks, of which 57 advanced, 36 declined, and 13 traded firm. Stocks advanced for 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, AMG Packaging and Paper Company Limited, and Berger Paints Jamaica Limited. Stocks declined for 1834 Investments Limited, Barita Investments Limited, and Carreras Limited. Trading firm were Access Financial Services Limited, Blue Power Group Limited, and JMMB Group 7% preference shares. The following companies represents the overall volume leaders. JMMB Group Limited 7.50% with over 10 million units, Nutford Express Services Limited with over 3 million units, and Spurtree Spices Jamaica Limited with over 2 million units. In regional stocks, in Trinidad and Tobago, Clico Investment Fund was the volume leader with over 21,000 shares, followed by Calypso Macro Index Fund with 459 shares being traded. On the Barbados Stock Exchange, Epley Caribbean Property Fund Value Fund was the volume leader with over 29,000 shares. They were followed by Goddard Enterprises Limited, which traded 800 shares. In international business, the member states of the European Union have reached an agreement more than 3 months after the Russian invasion. While member states like Hungary and Poland initially objected to the sanctions on Russian fossil fuel, the EU has finally reached a compromise. Al Jazeera has the details.
What was achieved at this summit is the EU has finally passed its 6th round of sanctions, which had been stalled for over a month, but they've had to water down the proposals to get them passed. The original plan was for a total ban on oil imports from Russia. Now they've decided on a compromise to keep Hungary and Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orban, who've been blocking this, to keep him happy. They've decided that oil that comes in on a ship from Russia must be banned. Oil coming in on a pipeline from Russia, for now, has a temporary exemption. Now, 2 countries, Poland and Germany, say even though they get their oil by pipeline, they will voluntarily decide not to have that oil anymore and to stop those imports. But that temporary exemption, particularly for Hungary, how long does that last for? No time scale has been given, and it's interesting that the Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban has been on Facebook. He posted on Facebook a boastful post: Hungary is exempt from the oil embargo. So questions still on that issue. They also discussed food security and the problem of getting the grain that's trapped in Ukraine out of the country. But one thing that wasn't discussed at this summit is the candidate status of Ukraine to join the European Union. That's something that President Zelensky wants. It's near the top of his list. That's been deferred to the next EU summit, which takes place in just under a month's time.
In market data for oil prices firmed on Wednesday after European Union leaders agreed to a partial and phased ban on Russian oil and as China ended its COVID-19 lockdown in Shanghai. Brent crude was up $1.30 or 1.1% at $116.90 a barrel, and West Texas Intermediate crude rose $1.05 or 0.9% to $115.72 a barrel. And that was the business report on PBCJ. I'm Danita Rodney.
In news across the Caribbean, the region's commissioners of police are currently meeting in Nassau, Bahamas, as illegal guns and fraud top the crime stats in many countries. According to Barbados Commissioner of Police Richard Boyce, a lot of the challenges faced are as a result of organized crime, and they're hoping this conference equips them with the solutions to tackle it before it escalates.
Cyber crime and other issues are coming on stream in terms of people using different forms and facets of technology. So we in the law enforcement agencies will have to be upfront and not playing catch-up games. So we will be exposed to the solutions in technological fields. One area we're looking at also is the social media aspect of it, whether it's Facebook or other platforms which deal in the social media domain.
He says when the discussions opened, the common thread affecting all regional nations was a changing face of organized crime.
It's all aspect of organized crime. And the biggest aspect of it is one where persons are using the same technology. The fraud matters, also trafficking in persons, money laundering. Those are the major subject areas that we are looking at. So it could be an intense discussions among the heads within each organization.
Still in the Bahamas, Prime Minister Philip Davis has sounded the alarm on what he sees as a serious threat to national security of the region. Speaking at the Regional Police Commissioners Conference, Mr. Davis said his views have been taken all the way to the White House.
Prime Minister made his views on the matter crystal clear here on the sidelines of a Regional Police Commissioners Conference, as he says combating gun trafficking is a key priority of his administration.
The right to bear arms in the United States does not also mean the right to traffic in those arms to the Caribbean countries. And I said that to the highest level. And hopefully our voice on this issue will continue to be heard and acted upon.
According to Prime Minister Davis, more than 90% of guns confiscated in the Bahamas can be traced back to American manufacturers and gun shops. The PM also telling the room full of high-ranking law enforcement officers that investigations have revealed a frightening trend. He highlighted the case of one Bahamian with U.S. ties who bought more than 24 guns in the U.S.
One Bahamian, for example, with American status, being able to buy 40 weapons in 2 or 3 gun shops over a period of 1 month, and within 10 days, one of those weapons have been found to be used here in the Bahamas. And it's only after, through the efforts of our police officers, they're able to determine that that one person bought those 40 guns within those period of time.
The Airport Authority of Trinidad and Tobago is ready for the anticipated influx in passengers now that the TT Travel Pass system has been removed as of today, June 1. TTT Live has the details.
With the removal of the travel pass, unvaccinated nationals and non-nationals can enter TNT, but they must have a valid negative PCR or antigen test at least 48 hours before arrival. Those who do not possess the negative COVID-19 tests before they board a flight to to the country can still enter, but they must stay in state-supervised quarantine until they present a negative test. Ms. Joseph said the authority continues to partner with the Ministry of Health and the County Medical Officers of Health to monitor persons as they enter the terminals. However, she explained that the rigorous testing and monitoring systems have been relaxed.
We are enhancing the travel experience and enhancing what people experience at our airports and making the whole process smoother. And so with that, we anticipate that more persons will be inclined to travel, and especially coming up to our July vacation peak travel period, we will have more persons traveling.
Ms. Joseph said passengers will still need to follow the public health regulations, which include wearing masks, sanitizing, and maintaining physical distance at the airport terminals. She added that the authority continues to review its safety systems, which include ensuring that the requisite number of staff have been trained to manage the increase.
The consumption of unhealthy food is the leading cause of early death in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. This is the view expressed by Professor Alafia Samuels of the University of the West Indies Mona campus. Professor Samuels delivered remarks at the closing ceremony of the Food and Nutrition Project. SVG TV has the details.
So we really are trying to encourage you through this project to find ways of eating a more healthy diet. So some of the things that we did is that we revised the curriculum at primary school level. So the HFLE curriculum, in fact, this morning we had a meeting upstairs with some teachers talking about it and sharing some digital content, some videos and so on to help. And then we also revised the curriculum at secondary level. So I don't know if any of you in here take a subject called integrated science. You took it. Okay, so depending on where you are, some of what you learned this year is likely to have been changes that we made to the curriculum to include things like hidden sources of salt, hidden sources of sugar. There's a display in the back there that shows you some products and shows you how much sugar is in the product. Sometimes, for example, you see a box mark, fruit juice. So you say to yourself, well, this is a healthy thing, right? Wrong. Because sometimes those fruit juices have just as much sugar as the sugar-sweetened beverages.
Professor Samuels said the incidence of non-communicable diseases in SVG continue to rise, especially for childhood obesity, and warned Vincentians that the consumption of unhealthy processed foods can reduce their lifespan by up to 10 years.
Find ways for Caribbean people to eat more natural, eat more plant-based foods. Do you know, for example, that in the Seventh-day Adventist Church, where they are vegetarian, they don't drink alcohol or smoke cigarettes, and of course they have the church community to help with their mental health, they live 10 years longer than the rest of us. 10 years is what you're losing by your unhealthy lifestyle. And it's not just loss of life, because I know you're all young and think you're going to live forever, but trust me, I used to be young one time. Okay, all of us used to be young one time. That's how we get to this stage, right? So you feel great now and you feel you have many years in front of you. But let me tell you, there are some of you in this, well, actually, you're all in here looking pretty good. But, you know, young people who are obese, 10% of them have high blood pressure. High blood pressure is not something anybody in this room at your age should have. But if you put on too much weight, you will get it. And from you get it young, you know that going down the line is going to be more problems.
St. Vincent and the Grenadines' representation at the upcoming Summit of the Americas is unclear, with the Prime Minister, Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, stressing that the United States has no right in deciding who or which countries are invited. He says some Caribbean and Latin American heads of government are going to attend the summit in Los Angeles.
Some are going to attend at lower levels, and some not going to attend at all. And the president of CELAC, the Community of States of Caribbean, of Latin America and the Caribbean, the president, who is the president of Argentina, has made it plain that though he's going principally to protest there and to speak to the issue as the summit must be inclusive and not exclusive.
mustn't exclude anyone. And he represents, of course, all the member states in CELAC, which is an organization with all the Latin American and Caribbean countries, save and except the United States and Canada. St. Vincent and Grenadines certainly will not be represented by the Prime Minister unless these countries are invited, Cuba, Venezuela, and Nicaragua.
In news further afield, Canada's government is trying to ban the sale of handguns. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says tougher laws were already in the works, but mass shootings in the United States have spurred more action.
It's being seen as the most ambitious proposal yet to restrict firearms in Canada. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau describes it as a national freeze of handgun ownership.
What this means is that it will no longer be possible to buy, sell, transfer, or import handguns anywhere in Canada. In other words, we're capping the market for handguns.
Under the bill, Canadians who already have handguns can keep them, but anyone involved in domestic violence or criminal harassment will lose their firearm license. The size of ammunition magazines will be limited, and there will be increased penalties for gun smuggling. The crackdown comes days after the school shooting in Texas, which killed 21 people. While Canada has stricter gun laws than the U.S., Canadians have suffered an increase of gun violence in recent years. In 2020, it banned semi-automatic rifles after 22 people were killed in a mass shooting in Nova Scotia. Some gun owners say they're contesting that ban in court. The new legislation is expected to be enacted in the autumn, but a rush to buy handguns ahead of the ban isn't expected.
In sports, an unbeaten century from Shea Hope guided the West Indies to a 7-wicket win over the Netherlands under the Duckworth-Lewis-Stern method in the opening one-day international at the VRA on Tuesday. Early rain forced the match to be reduced to 45 per side, and the home team sent into bat posted 240 for 7. Teja Needamanuru ended not out on 58 with Vikramjit Singh 47 and Max Odood 39, the major contributors. Akil Hussain took 2 for 29 and Kyle Mayers 2 for 50. But when the Windies replied, Hope, the West Indies vice-captain, stepped up to the task, ending unbeaten on 119, inclusive of 12 fours and 2 sixes, as the regional boys finished on 249 for 3 in 43.1 overs. Jamaican Brandon King, who scored a maiden one-day international half-century, was left unbeaten with 58, while Shamar Brooks chipped in with 60. Logan Van Beek took 2 for 49. Here's what Hope had to say after that brilliant century.
It's just about going out there and enjoy your batting. I love batting, so any chance to get to bat, I'm going to try to stay out there as long as I can.
And again, as the opener for the West Indies, you've carried your bat. How important do you view your role as an opener and getting this team off to a good start?
As an opener, you all know that the key is to see off the new ball, try to build that foundation for the team. And that's my priority whenever I go there to bat. And the key is to make sure that I can stay there as long as I can and get the team over the line.
Well, obviously the preparation would have brought you some success. How did the team look out there today? Anything you think we need to improve on?
I think there's always areas to improve. I don't think that we have a perfect team. So you can always go back and review and see where we can get better, that 1% better. So we just need to make sure that we're ticking those boxes come the next game. Hopefully we can take a step up.
President of the Jamaica Cricket Association, JCA, Wilfred Billy Heaven, has confirmed that he will probably not be seeking re-election at the next voting annual general meeting of the association, which is due by December next year. It is understood that Heaven could be seeking to enter the race for the presidency of Cricket West Indies, which becomes available next year. Mr. Heaven is into his 4th term as JCA president, having been re-elected unopposed last December. In late January, incumbent CWI President Ricky Skerritt, who is into his 2nd term, told CNC3 in Trinidad that his time at the helm will come to an end after 2023, as he will not be seeking re-election. Former World 100-meter champion Johan Blake And Tokyo Olympic 4x400 meter bronze medalist Candice McLeod had top 3 finishes in the season's best times at 61st Ostrova Golden Spike meet in Ostrova, Czech Republic on Tuesday. Blake clocked 10.05 seconds to finish second in the men's 100 meter, his fastest time this season. Great Britain's Reece Prescott won the race, clocking a personal best of 9.93 seconds. Prescott's compatriot Zarnell Hughes was third, also in 10.05. Meanwhile, Candice McLeod continued her improvement in the 400 meter, finishing second in a season's best time of 50.38 seconds. Tokyo Olympic 100 meter hurdles bronze medalist Megan Tapper finished sixth in her women's 100 meters hurdles race, which saw her go head-to-head with Tokyo Olympic champion Jasmine Camacho Quinn of Puerto Rico. Jasmine won the event in 12.56 seconds. And that's the news on PBCJ. Thanks for watching.